Hello, and welcome to the Better Dental Life podcast, where we speak with extraordinary individuals who inspire us by showing us new possibilities and shattering our limiting beliefs. On this podcast, we don't just talk about better smiles, we talk about better lives. I'm your host, Mark Davis. Okay, I'm so excited to be here today. Welcome to another episode of the Better Dental Life podcast. I'm thrilled to introduce you to my guest today, Dr. Samir Puri. Dr. Puri, most of you should know, he's the Vice President of Education at CDOCS, which is an organization that through its website, cdocs.com, and their hands-on workshops at Scottsdale really teach advanced dentistry to myself and many others. For years, Dr. Puri's mentored and inspired hundreds of dentists like myself. So, Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was going to say, if you continue to call me Dr. Puri, we're going to have to end this podcast right now.
We'll stop it here.
How are you, my friend? Thank you for the wonderful invite and allowing me to be here with you guys. I don't know that I have anything interesting to say, but you asked me and I'm here.
That's right. Yeah, probably not. We can end this right away. No, first, I would love to just get a little bit of your background, how you got to where you are now. So tell me about how you got into dentistry in the first place.
Yeah, so, my father's a physician, my grandfather was a physician, my great-grandfather's a physician, and I was supposed to go to medical school and carry on the family tradition.
You're a disappointment.
It's funny you say that, because after the first quarter of college, I'm like, I don't want to be in medicine and spend 4 years here and 4 years in medical school and residency and blah blah blah. My mom, called my parents, and my mom started crying. You're such a disappointment, you're not carrying the family tradition. The funny thing about that is now my daughter is starting medical school in about 2 weeks. So when she got accepted, she called my parents and said, the family tradition continues. So they're very proud, but I'm very proud of her as well. So look, I have so many physicians in my family. There's tons of them. The other big thing in our family is engineering. So my brother's he's a computer guy. He's the CEO of a company. They do like supercomputers and memory and stuff like that. And so I took a different route. I guess I enjoyed, wanting to be in some sort of a healthcare field, but I think my desire was not to be a forever student and a forever resident and forever be in, training, I guess. And so I chose dentistry, and
now that doesn't make any
sense
out because you're in forever training right now.
and that's the thing, right? Yeah. I mean, look, and this, we are always learning. We're always learning new things. We're always training. But I think it's different that, you have the ability that you are doing this by choice and you're not forced to it. You've come down for a number of courses. You do it by choice. No one puts a gun to your head. All the people that come down for workshops and, are part of our community at CDOCS, nobody's forcing you. And that's the kind of people that I enjoy being, the ones that are passionate, the ones that you don't have to put a gun to their head. I'm sure we'll talk about CEREC. My career has kind of revolved around CEREC. I love it now that I have the opportunity, I don't do it actively anymore. I'm kind of behind the scenes, but, train people on a technology that they want to be trained on, versus when I first got started, I was a big missionary and an advocate for it. And it was always trying to convince people to take the plunge. And after a while, I was like, this is dumb. I mean, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, it's right. Okay. You do your thing. There's no problems.
So tell me a little bit about those early days. So you just to kind of summarize, you went to school, USC, right?
USC.
And then you
undergrad, biology degree at University of California, Riverside, did USC dental school, and then ended up at a residency at the University of Tennessee, AEGD. Kind of a fluke last minute thing. I wasn't planning on it, but I met the director and we kind of hit it off at a conference. And he said, hey, I had a student drop out. Why don't you come? And I was like, I'm not going to Memphis. What the hell am I going to do? I'm from Southern California. And honestly, it was the best year. I had an awesome time. And then from there, I started my practice, bought a small practice in Santa Monica, then bought a bigger one. And during that time, was very active on Dental Town. And Dental Town just was absorbing everything. People were writing stuff, and so just from that, just got the idea to start the townie meeting back in the day. Me and
Now,
another doc.
did you get as an early Syracuser, because Dentaltown was not friendly to everybody. I mean, it was kind of it was early social media for us dentists, but
Yeah, yeah.
there were some critics. So did you take a lot of hits, and what was that like to be
Well,
an
but
advocate?
that's what I was saying, right? I became a missionary when I got it. It was a constant battle every day trying to convince people that, yeah, this technology makes sense. And after a while, I was just like, look, I don't care anymore. You guys do what you want to do. And I think the best part about Dentaltown was that I learned a lot from it. I met some great people, but I think we took the best parts of Dentaltown and, took them to CDOCS, which was CIRAC doctors at the time. I think the problem with Dentaltown, and I don't want this to be critical in any way, but oh well, you have a lot of I don't know how to put this, a lot of unmoderated egos or
Yeah.
moderated egos, I think, to choose your term. And it's just a little bit of a free for all. What I like about our community is that everybody's of the same mind. Everyone's similar. I mean, if you go on CDOCS, there's no, am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
There's no assholes. We don't allow
We'll
assholes.
bleep that out for the anybody who's
if
sensitive to
you're a if you're
it.
a jerk, you've got Facebook, you've got Dentaltown. By all means, other social media platforms, do your thing. Be as big of a jerk and let everybody know how great you are. If you're on CDOCS, hey, be nice to others.
Now,
I think that's, yeah.
did you purposely like plan that, or did it kind of happen by accident and then you said, wait, this is a nice group of people, let's keep it that way? Or did you
No,
from the
I mean, I think
get-go?
it's Dr. Mark Fleming, who's been part of our community and part of our faculty for years and years. He's kind of been the moderator over the years, and I was actively moderating for a long time. Now I don't actively do anything. We have a great team that does it all. I kind of manage and help and give my 2 cents here and there. People choose to listen or not on it, but look, we don't allow anonymous postings, right? So you have to put your name if you're going to post, and people tend to be nicer when they have to put their real name down.
Yeah.
Take a look at Twitter compared to, I don't know, CDOCS, I guess. I mean, people are just nicer when you have to put your name down. And if you are a jerk, you will get a message from me or Mark or one of the other faculty or moderators, and we'll say, hey, tone it down. And if someone posts a case and we have some people posting great cases and we have people posting, cases that could use improvement and some help. And so we'll always say, whenever I critique someone in a workshop or anything, I always like to use a sandwich technique. To summarize the sandwich technique, you have two nice things bookending the real critique. Hey, I really appreciate you posting that case. That central incisor sucks ass. I hope you continue to learn and post more. That's the
Right.
sandwich technique.
Yep.
You want to give critique, but there's a nice way to do it, because I think if someone is willing to put their cases out there asking for help, they're vulnerable. Let's not kick someone when they're vulnerable. Let's give them good, helpful advice and have them improve. And of course, we can be critical and say, hey, look, the margins could be better, the contour could be better, the shape could be, but you don't have to be a jerk doing it.
Yeah,
So
well,
that
that's
has been a conscious decision from day one in our forum. And to this day, I can count on my hand the number of people that we've had to kind of moderate and discipline. But we're not a free forum either. I guess that makes a difference. If someone's paying good dollars to be a part of it, less opportunity for shenanigans, I guess.
but it really has been an incredible form that I think people have tried to duplicate, people have tried to figure out, even on the spear side,
On the spear side, yeah.
partners. They're like, how can we
Yeah.
do this? And it just hasn't worked like CDOCS. There's some magic that you created that has stayed there and has been pretty incredible.
I mean, short of giving away our secrets, it's
Right.
not magic. It's again, I don't do it as much now just because I'm busy behind the scenes doing a lot of other things. But I would answer previously, me and the fact we would answer every single post.
Yeah.
You have to have that critical mass of where people just get used to it and then they start chiming in. If or one of the other faculty members is not actively posting back in the early days, we don't build up that momentum, and it dies out. So we were very conscious about posting, giving a lot of feedback. And then you get rock stars like you and other mentors that step up and say, hey, I can answer this. And you get the confidence to do so because you know it's a safe environment to share your opinions. And from that, look, we've had Meena Barsoom, who's become a great faculty of ours, Dan Butterman, Shivi Gupta, Rich Rosenblatt. All of our faculty, for the most part, have been homegrown. They came on our forum, they shared their passion, and that led to other opportunities which they capitalize on, and now they're faculty and et cetera, et cetera.
Now you're the first faculty group with I think Scrammy was there and Flim and Gardell.
Yeah.
Now, how did you know them from Dentaltown? How did you meet this?
Yeah, so I think it was from Dentaltown. And so what happened was, like, we were just busy, right? We were doing courses and we needed more help. And at that time, I was doing a lot of on the road lectures for Patterson, et cetera. They'd invite me to a conference or Patterson branch. So I was doing a lot of that. And so we just needed help. And so we asked some of our close friends and said, hey, look, come join us, be a part of the initial faculty. We can't pay you because we're dentists. We didn't know how to run a business. But we said, what we can do is get your name out there. And anytime an opportunity comes up that, I think you'd be appropriate for, we'll pass it on to you. And that's kind of how it started. So if you ever talk to Rich Rosenblatt, Rich will tell you the story. He was struggling financially. I said, I'd love to be a part of it. I can't offer you money, but you're going to be busier than you think. And like he tells this story great. And he has been busy because of opportunities that started from there.
Yeah. In that way, you've been a great, I think, a mentor to all of us that are mentors. I mean, we mentor people, but you mentor us. And there's always been that opportunity. I wasn't the first to jump into CDOCS, but I was an early user of CDOCS. And I always knew that if getting out there was my passion, you would help me get there. It wasn't my passion, but I knew if that was,
I appreciate that.
I knew that you would help me get there through the training on you had courses on how to lecture, how to give lectures.
I did a 2-day workshop for free for all of our mentors. And we've had quite a few people go through that. I think I'm the only guy in the business that tried to put myself out of business. I've given away so many lectures to others. I've given away, hey, you want to know how to put together a presentation? Here's my slide deck, and here you go. Here's how you do it. Here's my secrets. Like, you ask anyone that's been to my speakers workshop, which I will be doing online, and I'm just going to post it digitally, the whole thing, because it's just hard. It's just hard for me to take 2 days now. A little bit of a tangent, for, I don't know, 15 years or more, I was doing hands-on workshops, and usually it was 4 days, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And by Saturday night, I'd come home and I was a zombie. Like, I was just dead. My wife was like, hey, honey, we've got dinner plans. I'm like, no, I'm like in bed by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then, we hired Rich and Meena and Dan and all these other great people that started to take over. Obviously, Scrammy has been doing it with me for a long time. And so when I did the speakers workshop, I was on a hiatus for about a year or two, and I hadn't done a workshop, and I did a 2-day speaker workshop. And I was like, holy crap, how did I do 4 days of this? I am drained. It sucks a lot of energy out of you because you can't just show up and just be passive. When I first started speaking, I had a mentor, Louis Malsmacher. Some folks may know Louis. He's out there on the lecture circuit. Just one of the genuine people out there, just a super good guy, hustler, just a hardcore hustler I mean that in a great way, but just a genuine guy. He gave me some of the best advice as a speaker, because I was doing lectures for Denmat back in the day. And I was one of the speakers. They would do these conferences. I was one of the speakers. Louis was there. So I got to know Louis. And he said, he said, and he was on the road every single week, every week. And I'm like, how do you do it? How do you have that, that desire? And he said, look, here's the thing. I don't care what kind of day you've had. I don't care what kind of night you've had, whether you drank too much the night before, you partied too much, you had a rough day at the office. You have people that have come to see you that have given up time to be away from their families, their lives. You owe it to them. You get on that stage, it's showtime. And I've embraced that. And I've always tried to have a lot of energy. The downside of that is when that day is over, you're out.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done. You're just done. So I loved it and I miss it. But I don't want to do it again.
No, that sounds good. But you're still putting out the content. You're going to post some online, which is kind of cool. Some of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna record my
that
2-day
speaking
speakers
material.
workshop, and I'm gonna throw it on
like that.
CDOCS. Yeah, so other people can have an opportunity to maybe pick up a few tips and tricks. And you asked Dan Wilson did my course a while back, and he's like, I can't sit through anyone's lecture anymore because I see all the flaws in their lectures. not that I'm a perfect speaker or lecturer by any means, but after 20 years of doing it, you develop a little bit of a formula, and you figure it out.
So when did you meet Imtiaz?
So I mentioned that I had one of the founders of the Townie meeting for Dental Town.
Right.
Okay. Through that, Sirona became one of our sponsors. So we started the Townie meeting. It was T-Bone Agarwal and I. We started the Townie meeting, I want to say 2002-ish. Call it 2001, 2002. Sirona, at that time, it was just Sirona, became one of our sponsors. And so that's actually how I got into CDOCS. They said, hey, you're the organizer. We'd love to have you as one of our advocates, buy a machine. And I was like, I already was thinking of buying it, but great. And so anyways, that's how the CDOCS journey started. But then they wanted to do their 20th anniversary meeting in 2006. And so CDOCS 20, their very first one, which is now DS World. So they hired Townie Meeting, our company, to produce the event. So we organized the whole event, got the speakers, this, that. One of the speakers that I was supposed to get was Imtiaz. So I kept chasing down Imtiaz, but his wife had recently passed away at that time. So he was kind of not really speaking. He was just, but I met him and we just hit it off. He was doing an event in Scottsdale at the time. And at the same time, there was some other meeting that I was at. So we were like, hey, I've been trying to recruit you, Imtiaz, for this meeting. We've talked. He's like, well, I'm going to be in town. Let's get together. We had dinner at La Hacienda, which you've been to many times.
Yeah.
It was me, Imtiaz, and Shelly, which he is now married to. Shelly and Imtiaz got married recently. So they had worked together for a while. After his wife passed away, Imtiaz didn't date anyone or do anything for almost 10, 12 years. But then eventually him and Shelly ended up together. At the end of the dinner, I called my wife. I said, this dinner is going to change my life. You've heard Imtiaz, just grand plans. And it all worked out. And so I became, faculty at the time, Scottsdale Center. And guess who's calling me on the phone right now? Imtiaz Manji. So anyways, that's how we met. And then he actually offered me the job to run the center, the Scottsdale Center, back when it opened. And I said, look, I'm a dentist. I'm not a business guy. I'm happy to be involved, but you have the right guy under your nose. Your son is the right person for the job. And Kaleem has been our CEO for, last 10 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah, it's been great.
So that's how I met Imtiaz. And
I love that.
He's still a great mentor to me to this day. Some partnerships are great. Some are not so great. This one has been amazing. He's treated me like a son. And given me opportunities that I could only have dreamed of. And obviously you've got to take advantage of the opportunities. A lot of people come to me, hey Sam, I want to speak, I want to lecture. Okay, well, do X, Y, and Z. Well, no, just how do I make money? And I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's not how it works. You kind of have to you had to kind of go jump the hoops and prove yourself and, audition, quote unquote.
There's
Um,
I think there's a shift that people need to make. I mean, some people think that uh, you just luck into things. Like, the opportunity is going to fall from the sky and then it's just going to happen. And people need to realize they have to create their opportunities. You created opportunities when they were there, and you created your own opportunities. It wasn't luck, it wasn't chance.
there is luck. But there's a great saying that I love: the harder I work, the luckier I get. And then certain things, you take a leap of faith. I will argue, and I've said this to my wife before, if everybody at the end of their life looks back on their lives, there's probably three decisions on average, three major decisions that you made that significantly altered the course of your life for better or worse. Three.
Yeah.
I mean, we make decisions every single day.
Right.
Okay. So one decision of mine was, I was a dentist. I had a successful practice in LA, and this whole CERAC Scottsdale thing started happening. I was lecturing. I was offered the opportunity to sell my practice and move to Scottsdale. Okay. There's no guarantee. Of course, everyone's all like, oh, yeah, no brainer. We
It was
couldn't
scary
make
at the time, I'm
freaking
sure.
payroll back then, right? There was no guarantees of anything. So it was a huge risk. I'm selling my practice, guaranteed income, and I'm moving to Scottsdale for not so guaranteed income, but an opportunity. Okay. I took that opportunity and it worked out. Okay. Had I not taken that opportunity and just stayed as a dentist in Tarzana, California, I think I would have had a great life still. I would have had a great living. Had a great career, but it would have just been different. Yeah. Right? It would have been completely different. So I don't know. You look back, just 2 or 3 decisions in your life that significantly alter. And if you zig instead of zag, it can be, I'm not gonna say life or death, but it can be, significant changes in your life.
So in those decisions, can you look back and say, okay, this was a decision that didn't work out very well for me? And then how did you adapt to that?
Well, I think there's a lot of decisions that don't work out. You roll with the punches. I mean, what choice do you have? I'll give you an example on a recent decision that didn't work out so well. Yeah, so every time I see someone, they're like, "Hey, how's the house coming?" So my house is like, the talk of the town. I guess I should stop posting pictures of it on Instagram, but
Yeah.
It's a passion project. I love it. We decided that we were going to build this house. We bought the lot in August of 2020. I had a beautiful house that we had just built in 2015 that we moved into. I got a little bored, and my wife gets a little bored. We actually enjoy the process. So we're like, hey, let's do this. But I am conservative. I don't want a big house that we're living in, paying a mortgage on, and then start building another big house that we're, financing. I was like, well, we've got to sell. Let's get the cash in the bank, and then we can fund the new house. Well, we sold in spring of 21. What happened to the housing market between 21 and decision cost me a lot of money. Now, you can sit there and cry about it, and I do. Don't get me wrong. I have lots of tears on all the money we left on the table. But look, it gave us an opportunity to appreciate each other. We had just become empty nesters, so we decided to move into a high-rise building and live kind of the condo lifestyle across the street from a shopping center and restaurants and bars, and there's just the two of us. So we wouldn't have had that opportunity had we not sold. We are now we moved into a townhouse on a golf course. We've got about 8 more months of construction, and my backyard is the first green. So I'm chipping from my backyard, and the driving range is up, 30 feet out the front door. So I'm playing, every day, 4:30, I'm out there hitting balls. I would not have had those opportunities if we didn't sell the house. So look, you're never going to make every decision that's perfect. You are going to make mistakes. You can sit there and cry about it and say, woe is me, or say, it is what it is. Let's make the best of what we have and just move on. And you have to move on.
So I always look for patterns, right? So, and that's one of the purposes I want on this podcast is to look for patterns of people that have done things that have been successful in whatever way in their lives and then try to model those. And so, I mean, the patterns I see for you is, don't be afraid to make a big decision. Don't be afraid to choose and take those leaps. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's some luck involved, but there's also grasping the opportunity and jumping out and
yeah.
they're doing it. And, and then when
Calculated
those
risks.
decisions, what's that?
Calculated
Yeah.
risks.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to
And
be just blind about it, but you want to
right.
be calculated in your decision.
And
Yeah.
then if the decisions don't work out, you temper that disappointment instead of wallowing in it. It's not, you're not crippled to make any decisions the rest of your life. You're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Keep plugging along. Look for the good in it. Look for the positive in it.
I think if you look at my career, there's been a lot of decisions that I've made, and most have worked out. A lot have worked out. Like there's plenty that haven't, but I tend not to dwell on that. But one thing you just can't do is be just willy nilly and just completely like, oh, let's go I don't know, let's go sell our practice in California and move to Arizona. Well, what are you going to do there? I don't know, I'll figure it out. I had a plan. Like there was a
Right.
calculated plan. It wasn't guaranteed, but it was calculated. Selling our house and building the new one, people look at us and say, what the hell's wrong with you? You had a beautiful house that's like a dream home for everyone. Yeah, it was our forever home. But whatever, not to get too much into the financial aspect of it, but we lost a good amount of money.
Yep.
I won't say how much, it's all
But a
relative to
scary amount,
everyone,
right?
right? A scary amount of money by selling too early. But in the same regard, the house that we're building, I've had 3 different offers between 2 and 3x of what it's costing us to build. Like, hey, will you sell your place?
Yeah.
No, I'm not selling,
That
and it doesn't
that
matter.
condo at the golf course might start sounding pretty good.
I look, if the number was a little bit higher, I'd look at my wife and say, honey, enjoy the condo because we're staying here for a little bit longer. No, my point is that yes, every decision is a calculated decision. The reason I decided to sell my beautiful home in a beautiful area, maybe early because I didn't know. Hindsight, I should have kept it another year. But I had a feeling, I saw where the market was going in Scottsdale and where everybody was moving. And just happened to find the right piece of property to build on there. So it was a risk that we're selling our house and having to live in an apartment, et cetera, in the transition. But it was a calculated risk, knowing what's at the light at the end of the tunnel. So the next time you do this podcast, or actually not next time, maybe about 8-9 months from now, we do it from my office, which is overlooking my garage, because what's my future? Like, I plan stuff out 5 years in advance. In 5 years, what I'm going to be doing? Well, the remote thing that's like here to stay, right? And because I'm not doing clinical dentistry, so that's here to stay. So I'm not working full-time out of the house, but I'm going to be doing a lot more work out of the house. So I want a freaking kick-ass office. That's what we're building up there. And it'll have a nice desk where you can do podcasts and stuff like that.
That'll be fantastic.
It'll be fantastic.
We'll put it on the books.
Calculated risk.
That's good. So you and I think because you are a really good mentor to others, I mentioned that you've always been a mentor to me and the others that are around you. People share a lot with you when things are going poorly, when things are going well. So you got a pretty good pulse on dentist lives and the lives of dentists. So if you kind of look at that, and over the years, as those have talked to you, are there things that you see that can make dentists be a little happier, or the things that they do that make them less happy?
Yes. I think it's a great question. I think that applies maybe not to dentistry, but life in general. People need to stop being miserable. Okay, let's follow the theme. Okay, CDOCS. Okay. We talked about this earlier where I was an advocate. There's a lot of naysayers. Okay, let's just do the math on this, Mark. Okay. I can't buy a CDOCS. It's a waste of money. And you get into these mental gymnastics of, all right, let's talk about the waste of money. You do 5 to 10 crowns a month. I mean, you do 5 to 10 crowns a month. it's kind of a break even, right? Okay, let's just say at the worst case scenario, it's cost you $500 a month. Now, I think I'm speaking for you and other CDOCS users. Doing CDOCS is fun, right? It's like a computer game.
Yeah.
It was the most enjoyable part of my
Yeah.
practice.
It's the best
Is
part of
that
the day.
is that worth $500 a month? Right?
Yeah, for sure.
We'll go out and spend godly amounts of money on a nice bottle of wine or a dinner out or that home gym that you use twice a month. Or I'm going to put this home theater and spend 100 grand on speakers. But God forbid at my office, my job, my career that I invest and risk $500-600, call it $1,000 a month because I might lose money. That type of small thinking, I think, makes people miserable. Go outside of dentistry. I happen to have a hobby of cars. I really enjoy cars. I'm a car guy. I love cars. So let's take a Porsche, for example. I don't know, 100 grand, 150 grand, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So I have a couple of friends that say, how can you buy that Porsche? It's so much money. Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's literally talk about that. Okay. Let's just say 150,000. Okay. And I know someone's gonna be like, oh, I can't believe you, rich snob. Okay, whatever. It's fine. It is what it is, right? Yep. There's Porsches, there's, the other thing, just as a side, don't get miserable over other people. I might be talking about $150,000 Porsche. The guy driving the $400,000 Ferrari is looking at me saying, what an idiot. The guy driving the $2 million Bugatti is looking at that guy saying, what an idiot. The guy flying the G6, just don't get caught up in that stuff. Just do you. But let's just use the $150,000 Porsche as an example, okay? Let's say I buy that car today and I drive it for 3 years, okay? What do I sell a Porsche or an exotic car for 2 to 3 years later? Probably about $140,000. So in 3 years, driving a fun sports car cost me 10 grand. Okay, because I get that money out. Okay, I'm tied up cash, and I get all that. I'm just take the example of you're writing a check. Okay, I'll sell it. Someone will buy it for 140. So for 3 years, it cost me $10,000. Okay, so whether it's a Porsche, whether it's a Ferrari, I guess you could say even a Bugatti. Let's just say $3 million Bugatti. Okay, if you have the means to buy a $3 million Bugatti, let's just say for the sake of this discussion, keep it simple, you can write a check. Okay, how much do you think that Bugatti is worth in another 3 years? Probably about 4 million. So my point is that don't get caught up in the minutia. Everything has a cost to it. If you enjoy something, you'll find a way to make it work. Whether it's a CDOCS in your office, whether it's a nice sports car, whether it's anything, don't be miserable about it. Oh my God, I can't afford a Porsche. And then they're out, I just took, my whole family to Mexico for 30 grand. Well, that 30 grand, you're never getting back. But it's worth every penny because it's memories for a lifetime, right? Well, anytime I get into a sports car, that's my vacation, except doesn't cost me anything.
Right.
So, yeah, I see that a lot. I see a lot of that on social media. I see that a lot of that where people are just so consumed by every single penny, and I'm not talking about the folks that are legitimately struggling. I'm talking about successful people who can afford to buy a CDOCS, buy a Porsche, whatever, but they are just miserable because they can't get themselves to spend that money on something that they enjoy.
Yeah, introduce a little fun in your life and look at
Absolutely.
what is fun worth? And
that's a great way to put it. What is fun worth?
And for me, my passion, I love vacations with my kids. And I'll spend a ridiculous amount of money. I'll spend to take all my kids to go to Hawaii. I'll spend 30 grand to put them all up in a hotel. We have a good time. We spend 5 days, and I will love every penny that I spent for that fun. And what's the price of fun?
What's the price of fun? I love that.
And
I'm going to steal that.
If we can have that in our office, and that's what the CDOCS does, and trying new things and trying the even printing
Look,
right now is
it,
exciting. And so
it
the
can be
cost of
CEREC,
fun.
it can be 3D printing, like you mentioned, it could
Yeah.
be placing implants. And instead of, I still remember. So when I got out of my residency, I took a course. It was like call it an aesthetic residency. Dr. Bruce Crispin out of LA. It was like this, I don't 20-week long program where you go every other week for the weekends. It's very intensive, comprehensive course. I was just out of residency. I scraped together money to pay the 10 grand tuition for this particular program. And I was the youngest guy in there by far. Everybody else in there was, practicing 15, 20 years and successful. I was just starting out and struggling. I still remember one of the doctors there comes from that week, comes back and says, "Oh yeah." I'm like, what'd you do?" He's like, "Yeah, I was at the CDA, California Dental Association." I'm like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "Yeah, drop 5 grand on hand pieces just because I really liked them." And I was like, "Oh my God, how do you do like 5 grand? Are you kidding me?" And he just dropped 5 grand like it was nothing because he liked these new hand pieces. I still know this doctor. He's a happy man. He doesn't get caught up in the minutia. Well, let me figure out the ROI on those hand pieces. Well, I just bought these other ones, 6 months
Right.
ago, and they're not quite. He's like, I love the way these hand pieces felt. I bought 5 grand worth for all my operatories.
I love it.
To this day, I remember that conversation. I'm like, I want to get to that position. I want to be able to just buy something, whatever it is, and not have it be a financial burden. Okay. Now, I don't mean to come off as callous and say that I just blow money and this and that. My wife and I have struggled extensively, extensively. Like we just celebrated 25 years, and we used to sleep on a futon in an apartment in our Memphis when I was doing my residency. And when we first started out, it was, there were times where my practice was like, I don't know, do I pay the rent or do I pay my assistant this month? Because I can't do both. And so we struggled. And so to be in a position now where, we're doing well financially, and, it's been a blessing for sure. And I wake up every day and I count my blessings that it just didn't happen. There was luck involved. There's no doubt luck was involved, but it was also a good amount of hard work.
What are you excited about right now? What, as far as technology or the future of dentistry, anything that you're kind of excited about?
I'm excited about my two kids. The older one's starting medical school. The younger one's a senior at NYU. She's going to be getting out there in the world. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for them to experience where I was 30 years ago, or whatever it was at their age, to kind of just get started out. I'm excited for our home. I'm excited to, be in a position where I get to see my wife a lot and we spend a lot of time together. And I'm really excited about work. I love what we're doing at CDOCS. I love what we're doing in terms of helping doctors. I love what we're doing in terms of, I'd like to think great education and a great experience for everyone. And I love the fact, and it excites me when we have a great weekend of courses. We've got a great faculty,
Yeah.
we've got a great staff and all that stuff, but then it just all comes together. Of course, there's always problems. There's always going to be some little thing that goes wrong, and you fix it. And that to me is exciting.
I love that. That's great. That gets me excited. Like I'm all pumped up
It,
now.
it should. It should.
Well, I loved having you come on here. I want to really thank you for taking the time and being
It's
on
my
the
absolute
podcast.
pleasure.
And
I hope people enjoy it.
well, if nobody else did, I enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. I had a good time. So
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me on. I don't know if I have an enjoyable or interesting story to share, but I certainly have enjoyed living my story. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah.
It's been a very interesting ride through the ups and downs over the years, and I'm it's been fun, and I'm grateful for all of the people along the way that we've met and that have supported me and have helped me and said kind words like you did about me. I appreciate you,
good.
Mark. Thank you.
So I know it's pretty obvious the best way to connect and see what you're doing is on CDOCS.com. Any other place you want to send people?
Sure. CDOCS.com. I'm there. Sam Puri CDOCS is my Instagram. Samir Puri, I'm on Facebook, although I'm not a ton on social media. I don't know. I just get a little bit jaded at times. I'll post a few things here and there, but you can always email me, spuri@cdocs.com. And just you'll find me. Just do a search. I'm here. And if there's anything I can do to help anyone out there, I'll certainly try. Can't say that I will, but I'll certainly give it a shot.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks,
and
brother.
We'll connect again.
Thank you, sir.
This episode of the Better Dental Life podcast was brought to you by Better Dental Life. When you are ready to transform your life, transform your practice, and expand your income, become a member of Better Dental Life. You can find out more about us at betterdentallife.com. Make sure to search for the Better Dental Life podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, and click subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Better Dental Life, thank you for listening.